Oh boy, that takes me back to the old days of floor-filling discos. Trish Springsteen is the first studio guest we've had in here that's actually done her hair specifically to come on the radio, which I think is terrific. Trish has a passion, and that passion is public speaking. She's a speaker, a trainer, a mentor, and an author. 20 years experience in trading, business, and communication, and she's a professional speaker at meetings, a keynote speaker, an event MC, you name it, she does it. And she's here to tell us all about public speaking. First of all, welcome to the show, Trish.
Thank you, Mark. I'm very delighted to be here, and I'm looking forward to enjoying our discussion.
Indeed, and I'm just saying, I mean, that hair is fantastic. Nobody's ever done that. Nobody's had their hair coloured specifically to come into the studio, so I feel very honoured by that.
You're very welcome.
So, public speaking. Now, we were chatting off air. I was the kid who would go into a party and sit in the kitchen. In fact, Jonah Louie recorded a song about that many years ago. I couldn't look people in the eye. I didn't have confidence to, let alone speak to the public, have a one-to-one. What do you do? How do you persuade people that actually all of us are capable of doing this?
Well, firstly, it's a matter of acknowledging our fear. There's a large proportion out there in your audience listening in who are probably saying, I'm never going to get up and speak. I don't want to do that. And one of the many reasons is that we need to look at and see why is it that we don't want to do that. And quite often it's because we've had a bad experience back in our school days to having to get up and present and know that I've got to talk to the class and my mark was relying on it and never again, and it always comes forward. Or we're afraid of what our peers are going to think of us, afraid that the audience won't like us, people will discover we're a fraud. So once we acknowledge those fears, then it's just a matter of putting a few techniques in to get through them.
And you've said it yourself, it goes back to the childhood days, because I remember at school assembly, and the head teacher would be on the stage and they would point to somebody, and you either had to stand up and read something or tell them what you did, and that is really, really frightening. So I guess it's, first of all, people need to acknowledge what the problem is, what the fear is.
Yes, I think so. It's very easy to say we've got a fear, but I said only probably a small percentage have glossophobia, which is the true phobia of speaking. The rest of it is the mindset, the past experiences. So once we look at that, there's a few things that we can help people with. One of the things that I really say to people is to breathe. Blue is not a good colour in the face when you're trying to speak and when you're trying to present a professional appearance. So breathing helps you. It helps to centre. One of the things I say is the experience and the familiarisation. So really it's true, the more you get up to speak, the more that you become aware that the floor is not going to open in front of you, the audience is not going to throw tomatoes at you, and my goodness me, I did it. And so the next time you've got a more familiar with the act of speaking, and it becomes a little bit easier. You're never going to get over those nerves, and that's great.
No, you need to harness the nerves.
Yes.
And I think that anybody who says they don't get nervous, any kind of performing, speaking, you're actually kidding yourself on, because you should get nervous, but you should harness the nerves.
That's right. I say that you'll get three answers if you ask someone, especially those great speakers. They'll either tell you the truth and say, yes, I get nervous and I use it to wow the audience, or they lie because they don't want you to know that they get nervous, or they'll say they don't get nervous. They don't. And if you listen to their presentation, 9 times out of 10, it'll probably be the most bland, flat presentation, because you need those nerves to get the adrenaline going, to make that connection.
Exactly, because there's nothing worse, and I've been there, I've been to events where the speaker is clearly thinking about the check at the end of the night. They don't really want to be there. There's no connection between them and the audience, and they're just doing it as written. They're just going through the program. So what kind of people would come to you? Who are your sort of target audience?
At the moment, typically I'm working with a lot of published authors, helping them to turn their books into keynote presentations, because authors write that book, they spend all those hours getting that passion into their book, and then quite often think, well, the book's going to sell themselves. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen except for a very small minority. So they have to get out there and speak about it and share it with people. So I help them come out from behind their book. And I also work with introverts, bloggers, accountants, IT people who find that their expertise takes off, and suddenly someone says to them, can you come and share that expertise with my group of people? And no, they don't want to do that.
No, and I remember being at a networking event on the Gold Coast not that long ago, and a very nice, very chatty young lady, she was sort of going around, very good at the one-to-one networking. Then she had to do a 10-minute presentation on her service, and it was embarrassing, and you felt for her, you felt her pain. So it's really a case of harnessing and finding out, okay, how can we make whatever we've got a little bit better, more entertaining?
That's right. That's my passion. I love to work with people now to give them the skills and the techniques so that when those opportunities come and they may get asked to appear on TV or to do a radio interview or to get up and speak, they've got the opportunity and the skills there to grab that, rather than we're running around suddenly thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to do it, or do it not quite so well and think, I'm never going to do that again.
Yeah, as for the tomatoes bit, you've obviously never done a Glasgow audience, but anyway, that's another story. Okay, we will be with Trish Springsteen in just a few moments from now. We're chatting about her passion, which is public speaking, but also there's a book which is sitting opposite me now, and I feel the least I can do is to talk about that. Amy Winehouse, Logan City's 101 FM. Mike Bennett from now till 12 midday. Peter Taylor, who'll be telling us tales of his trip. He's been on a cruise. I'll let him tell you all the rest of that a little bit later. Joining us still in the studio is Trish Springsteen. We've been chatting about public speaking. There's a book with Trish's name on the front, and it's called Picture Them Naked. And you know what? I could get in serious trouble for that, Trish.
Yes, you could. It's a very old saying that people used to say to people when they were getting up to speak, oh, just picture your audience naked and it'll be fine. I actually don't tell my clients that, because I think it can be, they'll either get so embarrassed they'd never get a word out, or they'd look out at the audience and dissolve in hysterical laughter. So I say to them, smile at the audience. It's a lot easier. You don't have to worry about being embarrassed or laughing. Just smile. They'll smile back at you, and then you can zoom off onto your presentation.
Which really helps. And I think that there's this, it's almost, the imagination can be a very powerful thing. And if you're not that confident, you imagine the worst thing that can possibly happen. Chances are it's not going to happen. And even if it does, I always say, if things go wrong, and as they do with an alarming regularity on my show, nobody's died. Nobody's died because something went wrong on the radio, because you pressed the wrong button or there was a gap or whatever. And I think it's having that confidence. Actually, what I've got to say is useful. What I've got to say will entertain, amuse, inform, educate. So if you just give us half a chance, that'll be great. And if they're not interested, they're not interested.
In the main, except perhaps the audiences you were just telling me about, most audiences are ready, willing and able to listen to the speaker. They want to be there, and they're very forgiving. And I say to people, you don't have to be the most brilliant speaker. Your passion and your authenticity will get you a long way. What I do is just polish some of those edges and give you just that little bit more confidence to take your presentations and your speaking and your communication to another level. And not just with audiences, but if you can be an effective speaker, that gives you the confidence to do anything else you want to do in your life or your business.
And I was going to say that because if you have confidence, if you can be confident in public, it does rub off. All of a sudden you think, hang on a minute, I have a captive audience here, so maybe I can communicate. Just very briefly, Picture Them Naked. What is in the book? What can we expect to read from that?
The book is a series of chapters. I'm a contributing author to one of those chapters, and it's all about the skills of presenting and speaking. So you've got a wide range of very experienced presenters and speakers who've shared some of the insights in their journey in speaking, and I've shared my insight in there as well. So it gives you great tips to take away.
So if people are interested in what we've been chatting about this morning, how do they get in touch?
They can contact me on my email. It's info, I-N-F-O, at Trishel, TRISCHEL.com.au, or they can go to my website, which is www.trishspringsteen, so it's TRISSPRINGSTEEN.com. And if you go to that site, you can book in and have a free complimentary strategy session with me where we can talk about what we can do to make you an effective speaker and communicator.
Sounds like a fantastic offer. If people want to see you performing, speaking, where can they see you? Is there anywhere that we can perhaps see you over the next few months?
I'm at a variety of network meetings over the next few months. So if they can follow me on my Facebook page, which let's go and look for Trish Springsteen Speaking or Trishell, then I put up there where I'm going to be out and about.
Fantastic. Well, I think we need to be checking out and see what you like on the stage, and I promise not to throw anything resembling fruit at you.
Oh, that's fine. Just make it purple because that's my favourite colour, so it won't matter. It'll be matching whatever I'm wearing.
Trust me, I'm going to post a picture up of Trish on the Facebook page later on today, and you'll see she's not making it up. Purple is the colour. Trish, thank you ever so much for coming in, and thank you for the kind offer to our listeners as well, and hopefully they'll take up on that.
It's been my great pleasure. I've enjoyed chatting with you, Mike.
So, Trish Springsteen, I will put all the details on the Facebook page a little bit later on today.